You spoke today in front of a lot of child, in front of a lot of kids, junior kids. What do you think is the best way to teach new generations about the Holocaust and what happened in the Holocaust?
I think teachers need to be fired up to shed a light and meet the students where they are so they would want to listen to them. How? You cannot teach them anything unless they have the desire to learn them. So it's up to us. Excuse me.
What do you think you have to tell them about the Holocaust so they will have the interest to know and not to let it die?
I think what you want to tell them about the Holocaust, that people had choices. Even then, you have to give them the truth. That there were people who made up their minds that they cannot take all the terrible things, and they died without any physiological reasons. We used to call them the muscle man, M-U-S-U-L-M-A-N, and they would just give up. And I think what I am very interested for the children to know that we were victimized, but we're not victims. That we have inner strength and inner resources, and Auschwitz gave us an opportunity to learn how not to allow the enemy to murder your spirit ever. And we want to be the best role models for them, so they would be curious to want to be just like us, because life is difficult, and not to make it so easy for them that they always demand everybody to take care of them. And I think the worst thing parents can do is spoil their children, because then children don't master everything on their own. And I saw those were the first ones who gave up. And that's a good definition of a victim, when you always wait for somebody else to do it for you. Or you put your whole happiness into someone else's hand. And I think Auschwitz was an opportunity, how we cared for each other, how we had to move beyond our needs. Because if you were just for the me, you never made it. I learned to be who I am today in Auschwitz. I think Auschwitz taught me how to value every moment, how to not take anything for granted, how to value life, because we don't appreciate what we have.
You spoke about tomorrow. About what is the meaning of tomorrow. We think now everybody tomorrow will be another day, tomorrow will be another day. You may sometimes we call it in the camp, for some people it was not a tomorrow, it was just only the day and then
that's right. I think even today the only thing I have today is this moment with you. I can only touch you now. So if I worry about the future, or I wonder about what I could have done in the past, I lose the only thing I can be control of, you and I, right here, right now.
How could you survive or be in the concentration camp, knowing that, all right, not knowing what it's going to be for the next, don't say day, for the next hour, if you are going to be alive, or if your friends will be there.
Exactly. And that's the difference between stress and distress. Stress is good, it's a sort of life, Sansari said. Distress is when you don't know what's going to happen next. And we didn't know whether we take a shower, whether, water is going to come out or gas. But I still had a choice, the way I was getting my food, so I could get a little vegetables, so I could run from this one to the back and forth, and I discovered many things I never thought was possible. The perseverance, the resilience, and not allow the Nazis to ever control me unless I permit it. That's the power. That's the defiance that I bring as a survivor.
That's what you try to teach.
Well, I hope to make it so that they want more of me, because I represent a generation that brings those precious children a lesson about life. And parents' job is to really show children how the life works. I think you can overdo the Holocaust. I have rabbis' children who didn't want to be Jewish anymore. They were sick and tired of the Holocaust. You have to remember, you must do this, you that. They don't go for that. The children don't want to grow up in a depressed home, that everything you have to appreciate because everybody suffered, and you keep preaching. They don't like it. You got to learn the language of the child. You got to validate their feelings, and you got to deal with your unresolved grief.
Talking about grief and all of that. What is your grief? What is
All
your
therapy
feeling
is
about?
grief work. All therapy is grief work. Not what happened, but what didn't happen. I never had a teenage year. I never had boyfriends and going out on dates and dump a boyfriend. I never had that. And then when I married very young, I became a mother when I needed a mother. My life was upside down. I cannot promise anyone a happy childhood, but I can give them the inner strength and the inner resources that no one could ever take away from me.
Do you think what happened in Auschwitz made you decide to be a psychologist?
That's right, exactly. That's why I wanted to find some sense in nonsense. I wanted to find some meaning in suffering, that it wasn't in vain that my parents died, and I owe it to my parents.
Did you find some meaning or something?
Definitely. I'm going to work as long as I live, and in my deathbed I'm going to feel so satisfied, never asking what everybody could give me. I like a standing ovation, I love the applause, I'm a former dancer.
Everybody does.
but it's not the base. The base is here. It's a whipped cream, it's a cherry on the top. You don't define who I am, I know who I am. And Auschwitz gave me an opportunity to connect with my inner self. It was a schoolroom. It was what the military have their training.
Training camp?
When you go to the Navy, like boot camp.
Boot camp.
Yeah, it was a boot camp. I don't want to ever minimize it. I also want to know that we keep it alive for the children and grandchildren to not remember us as being fragile and weak, but people who have the inner resources and the resilience and the perseverance to become survivors and not victims of anything.
You were an
I
adult.
bring the strength.
That's nice. That's important.
You got
And
it.
that's important to speak to the now to the kids and to the adolescents.
But the
and
power
also
of
to
the
parents.
brain power is the best power.
With that you can do whatever you want.
You see, I don't know how to fight in the wars, but I hope that I'm helping the young people to have choices, whether to be victims or survivors. I do
That's an
that,
important
and I'm
decision
very
to make.
committed that I have faith in them, and I celebrate that there'll never ever be another person like them.
I think being a victim or a survivor is not just in a war or in something like that. It's in the whole days in our lives.
Exactly.
You decide what you want to be in your life and in your days.
Yeah.
Also in your marriage, like a kid.
Exactly. And life is like one day. That morning sunshine will not come back.
Tell me a little bit, how was to be an adolescent now in Auschwitz camp? We speak with a lot with people that they were younger in the camps, they were kids, but it's strange to have somebody that was an adolescent. You said you didn't have a normal adolescent's life, a kid's life. You were in a camp. How was it to be an adolescent with that all explosive you have inside, to be all the depths? How was it?
Everybody tells you something else. I can only speak for myself. I was a hopeless romantic. I was dreaming about things that you can't imagine. I had my inner world. I could have been a very good
Would you dream in a
schizophrenic.
camp like Auschwitz?
I was thinking about how I'm going to somehow go through this experience, and I never even entered in my mind that I'm not going to get out of here. Even though I was told every day I'm never going to get out of here alive because I'm subhuman. They took my blood twice a week. Why are you taking my blood? I spoke German fluently. The guy said, I'm taking your blood to aid the German soldiers so we can take over the world. What do you think I said? I couldn't get my arm away. I would have been shot. Humor. I said to myself, with my blood, I'm a pacifist. You're never going to win the war. Yeah.
Thanks for the blood. They didn't win the war.
Maybe that's why they didn't win the war. But you see, I had this chutzpah.
That's very interesting. What was
chutzpah? That to me.
I know chutzpah is one of the words that represent more in Judaism, and it doesn't have a translation. That's very interesting. To have the chutzpah to be a Jewish.
In my kishke.
You will love my more speaking in English.
Yeah, and we call that today emotional IQ. The emotional IQ. The EQ. It's very important to have IQ, but the EQ, what helped me to survive, I should.
What's the difference?
Yeah, the difference is that the school of hard knocks teaches you how to endure the suffering rather than fight or flee. You have to learn how to flow. The third alternative, stay in it and go through it.
What was?
I go through the valley of the shadow of death, but I don't camp there or set up household there. I don't live in Auschwitz. I live here today because I can only touch you now.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I will let you rest a little bit. Just another question. You're going to have tonight a conference with fathers. It's a group, I know, Fathers for Fathers. A group that is trying to teach fathers. Nobody told us how to be a father. To be a psychologist, you have to study 4 years. To be, I don't know, whatever, a teacher, you have to study. To be a parent, you only have to have a kid. And you become a father suddenly, and that's it. And you don't, and nobody tells you you have to study.
And you have a hard time telling your kid I'm scared. So you just hide behind the parent room.
And the father, you don't ask the father. I tell you. And now kids are more interested, they know more than the father. With all the internet and everything.
That's why it's important to meet them where they are, but treat them the way they could be. When you treat a child as they are, they become worse. You treat them as if they were, but they are capable of becoming, that they're responsible, precious children of God, a member of this family. We invite them in. No one grows on criticism before something rather than it.
Tonight you are going to speak about Auschwitz or about
Well,
how to teach fathers for fathers. I think it's more interesting.
I know, that's what I want to speak about, and they told me that they want to hear my story.
I think your story is very interesting and very teaching to know that you have
it's
to
easier
go.
for me to talk to you about, I'm very, very highly seasoned professional. This is hard. This is my testimony. I'm crying as I told.
What was your worst memory? Remember?
Cannibalism.
It was there because nobody talks about it. Nobody talks.
I'm telling you, my sister will tell you too. Yeah.
It was a lot of nobody because nobody talks about it. It doesn't say. It was it. How did you survive that?
Well, I ate grass.
I lost another question. Somebody told us that for him, another survivor told us that for him, God was outside during the Holocaust. For you, what happened with God?
God was with me. God was with me. God didn't kill my parents, people did. Please, don't blame God. My God is a very loving God. I think that's, again, He is for Himself, and I only tell you my truth. There is no truth. It's all subjective. When I told my sister I want to go back to Auschwitz, I told her. She told me I'm an idiot. And she was there with me. There's no way she was going to go back. And to me it was important to touch the place, go back, and finally liberate myself. But for my sister, she told me I'm a masochist, I'm stupid. Who are you going to listen to? Magda is right for Magda, and Evie is right for Evie. That's why don't compare me to any other survivor. It's not fair. They look at this from this vision, and the lenses through which you see the world. Get in touch through the lenses your child is seeing the world. And when you think small, you stay small. I just told them, think big.
Can we forgive? Or can we forgive the new generations of German? Or they are not giving? How do you think about it?
I don't think it's up to me to forgive the Germans, I don't think the scripture and the Bible says anything about that. I think it's important to forgive yourself, so you won't be a hostage and a prisoner of the past. Forgiveness is to give that gift to myself.
Thank you very much.
Anytime.
¿Cómo lo apagas? De nada, ¿eh?
Gracias.